2020 Democratic presidential hopeful Seth Moulton telling on Capitol Live this past weekend that the right thing to do would be continue to go with impeachment proceedings, no matter how politically unpalatable that might be for some. Tennessee Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn on that. Senator, good to have you. He's saying the right thing to do is pursue impeachment. What do you think of that?
I think that's the wrong thing to do. But if the Democrats want to keep doing that and guarantee that Republicans take back the House, that we keep the Senate, and Donald Trump wins re-election, you know, they're going to go ahead and do that. But what people want to hear, when I was in East Tennessee this weekend, Neil, people were talking about how good the economy is. They like the jobs growth. They want to make certain that we find out how in the world a dossier was used for a FISA warrant. Somebody was spied on that's an American citizen. They want that answer, but they're saying, look, the Mueller report is over with. The impeachment talk is something that is going to divert attention from securing the southern border, making the tax cuts permanent, getting more federal judges on the bench, and making certain that we address online privacy. Those are the things they want to see done.
You know, nowhere in that list, Senator, I know this echoes Mitch McConnell, as any of these efforts to make sure Russia doesn't repeat what it did in 2016 in 2020. Why is that?
And people know that their local election commission is who is in charge of administering that election. And they know those men and women that sit on those commissions. They know that the federal government is not in charge of elections. And actually, they're a little bit amused that the mainstream media just does not seem to understand that. And they trust their friends and neighbors. But a local commission really can't stop Russian operatives from interfering on a national basis, right? Isn't that Washington's job, Senator? That is Washington's job, and indeed that is something we're working on. I'm chairing the Technology Task Force, and we're looking at these issues of censorship and prioritization and privacy and data security. And we are working to hold big tech accountable for this. My goodness, if you've got Facebook or big tech companies and they are paid in rubles for political ads, honest to goodness, you know what, they should know, Neil, that that is not a valid political ad.
But do you worry, though, Senator? I know you don't like federal interference in these kind of matters, but obviously that doesn't stop the Russians from acting on a countrywide federal basis in their own part to screw up in our elections. Yeah. So shouldn't we fight back? I think what alarms some American senators that Republicans, for whatever reason, and maybe just anger over Democrats trying to say that Donald Trump is a legitimate president when most Americans would argue he won fair and square in the electoral vote, end of story, that's why there's trepidation to pursue this. What it could explain it?
Not at all. The Russians they're bad actors, and they've been trying to interfere in U.S. policy for decades. This is nothing new. They are just using the virtual space now. And we should be resolute in our opposition to them having any access to interfering in anything.
But don't you have to do more to just say, you know, listen,
Absolutely.
U.S. OBs, don't even think about doing it. But I don't see any. You're loath to any legislation or anything that would slap it down on them.
Privacy, data security, focusing on those issues, delivering something there. That's the way you begin to work on this, and holding big tech accountable, which is something we're doing through the Technology Task Force at the Judiciary
Committee.
Do you
think that just citing what a Google is doing or a Facebook or some of these, that will be enough to prevent the Russians from repeating what they did?
We've got to stay one step ahead of them.
Well, they seem to be one step ahead of us, right?
Well, it looks as if in 2016 they kept dancing around the edges and making certain that big tech is going to block them when they set up these websites, when they establish these accounts. So do you think Bob Mueller
was right when he said they're going to do it again? They're already working to do it again. You think that's alarming?
I think that I call the new axis of evil Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. And there is no end to their efforts to try to undermine us.
Then stop them. Senator, you have the power to stop. You have the power to lead the effort.
And I am. I'm chairman of the Technology Task Force, and we're working on it every day.
But there's no
Stay
legislation.
tuned.
Mitch McConnell has bypassed a lot of the stuff that he could be doing right now to do just that, Senator.
Well, I think that what he is doing is making certain that we don't have these pieces of legislation that the Democrats have brought forward that are not well thought out, that would end up doing more harm than good. Now, addressing privacy, making certain that we get something on the books for a federal privacy standard, Neil, that is a good place to start. Building out that framework, making certain that we put data
closely.
security.
Senator?
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to get a couple of your colleagues on the same issue, including Rick Scott. Thank you in the meantime. We'll have more.
Thank you.